Okay, so today we'll be talking about vulnerability assessment. Now, from what you can see on my screen, it's like let me see, like the cover page of my reports. Now, I'm going to be using these reports to detail down or to explain to you what vulnerability assessment is. VAPT means vulnerability assessment and penetration test or testing. Now, when a client meets you, some of you might be working for companies, some of you might not be fully engaged with a particular company. You may be working for like individuals. Your clients can come from different angles. Somebody can see one of your jobs, or somebody can see something that you've done on LinkedIn, yes, and the person will message you that, okay, can you do this? Can you do this? If you agree to it, once you do that, there should be like some sort of reports. Now, I'm going to be going through how a comprehensive vulnerability is done. Same with penetration testing, how it is done. Then how your report should be formatted. There is no justification for knowing how to pen test, having the skill set without knowing how to report. Now, one thing is very, very important. We started web security with you, but if you notice, we scratched just the surface. Now, it is your responsibility, because we can't cover everything. We can't cover all the vulnerabilities. We have a couple of weeks left before we start talking about projects. Now, it's your responsibility to go and dig deep using PortSwigger. I will give you assignment. The assignment I've already compiled them. I will give you assignment that will be very comprehensive. It's going to touch across so many vulnerabilities. Yes. So that aside, I would still ask you guys, but that's not going to be part of the assignment. I'll ask you guys to go further and treat more vulnerabilities. Now, the essence is that you just want to be strong in the field of web security. Now, assume a client meets you that, okay, he wants you to carry out VAPT for his or our organization. Now, go with me. Okay, first of all, you need to know what VAPT is. Like I said, you already know what penetration testing is. But then, let's put it in a better way. You can say a process that can be used to identify. Apart from identifying, identify is to look for, identify, analyze, and also you can evaluate security vulnerabilities. What do I mean by evaluate? Evaluate in the sense that you want to calculate, not calculate per se. You want to assess assess the potency, like how bad is this vulnerability? Yeah. So it's a process whereby you can identify, you can analyze, and also evaluate security vulnerabilities in systems, networks. It could be applications or what have you. Now, what do you want to do? What's the essence of this? In order to exploit them in a controlled manner. Why are you doing that? To understand their impact. Please, that is the main essence of what vulnerability assessment and penetration testing. You for sure want to exploit those vulnerabilities, not for malicious use, but for understanding their impact, to know how they work. Now, when you are, I'm going to be explaining this one in line with the steps for VAPT. In line with the steps for VAPT. Now, using this one as example, I chose this one out of the many works I have because this one kind of typifies what you see on a regular day. On a regular day or on a good day, when an organization comes to meet you, there's every high chance that when you run your mmap on their network, on their IP, there's every high chance you're going to see that web is running. That HTTPS is running. And for HTTPS to be running, someone should just quickly tell me the port number. Anybody? Port number, HTTPS. What's that port number that is going to show on your... Okay, Sally.
8080.
No, that's not what you see on your this thing now, on your map, to identify that HCPS is running. Wizard, let me hear from you.
443.
Yeah, thank you. It's actually 443. 443 is what you see to identify. Even you see that even port 80. When you see port 80, see, we are not doing testing now. We are like facing real life situation. Now, in this instance, now there are some things that you don't expect. When it's not as if they are playing. An organization should not come and say you want to set up something and you have it running, HCP running. You know, that one alone, just seeing that one alone is already a vulnerability. Do you understand? Let me quickly give you like a sneak peek into what one of your projects will look like. One of them, that's if I don't change it. Is that you perform a VAPT on a particular website, and that website is running on HTTP. That alone is a vulnerability. It's very, very critical. So now, just like Wizard said, it's 443 HTTPS. So majorly, most organizations are going to be dealing with, they'll be running a web service, yes, and that is your area of concentration. Most likely, there are other instances whereby you have to go and dig into this thing. Other aspects of cybersecurity, we noticed we didn't really go deep into them, like digital forensics. I've gotten jobs on digital forensics, but you barely see them because they give it to what maybe like people that have gone really, really deep in the field of cybersecurity. They don't just give it to, okay, you are just 13, and moreover, a good number of you don't have work to show forth for you that you are good in digital forensics and the likes of them. So, having said that, what is the first thing to do? We obviously know that we are going to do what? Recon, like gather information. We are going to gather information. Now, first of all, we need to determine what kind of tests are we carrying out. There are 3 types of tests. Know them, or you can note them. There's black box text, there's gray box text, there's white box text. Black, gray, white. If I tell you the meaning of black, you know the meaning of the remaining. Black, just like dark. You don't have any knowledge about what you are testing. You don't have any knowledge about what you are testing. I'm sure you already know the meaning of white. White is the complete opposite. You have full knowledge. I know the meaning of gray like that. In between, you have partial knowledge. In most cases, it's always white or gray. There was a work I was going to jump on, but I had to stop. I was working on something. I was working on something quite critical. It's like some guys from Brazil. Now, the idea of that kind of stuff is, I think, is black. Black in the sense that they gave us little to no information about what we're doing. So we're to gather as much information as possible. So you already know your first step, which is what? Recon. Gather information about what? The sites that you are working with. You know the tools to use for recon. We've already talked about mmap. Like I said, we might not necessarily treat mmap to the deepest part, but you already know how to use it like at the surface level. And from that surface level, nobody's asking you to keep everything in your head or cram everything. No, you have the internet or you have Google at your disposal. You can always use it. You have various Google docking that we did, how to use strings to get the exact thing that you need from the internet, shutdown, and the likes of that. So now, after doing that one is for passive. Those ones I just mentioned, they are for passive. Google docking, shutdown, UIs, they are for passive. Now, there's another type of recon, which is called active reconnaissance. That is where you are communicating directly with the server or whatever it is. Very popular tool that we use for that one is Nmap. Now, let me move further from this thing. Like I said, I'm going to be explaining the 2 of them one after the other. Now, this is my title page, whereby I wrote everything that was meant to write. Now, moving further, this is my table of contents. Like I told you, it should be as professional as possible. It is pointless when you know how to pen test, you don't know how to report appropriately. You may pen test and you have the knowledge in your head. If you don't know how to present it, if you don't know how to communicate it, you are half good. So shouldn't be sharing this thing. So now next table of figures, then we have this list of tables. Now we have this. I don't want to start going through them one after the other, but this is me talking about the stuffs that can be found in this report. I mean to say. So the executive summary. Now the essence of this report is to give to the company, and after giving to the company, they must have fixed it up. Yeah, they must have fixed it up. Now, talking about the first paragraph, moving on to the second paragraph, this report contains the findings of a vulnerability assessment conducted on the MyColumn application. Moving further, the assessment approach was predicted on the following best practices technical security methodologies and frameworks. So these are the frameworks that we use. I'm sure out of all this one, the one that you are familiar with is OWASP. You are familiar with OWASP. But we combined these methodologies to ensure that we have like a very, very comprehensive report. Now, these are the key findings. You can see the way I itemized everything. These are the key findings. Now, in these key findings, you can list all those things that you found. Now, before I continue with this key finding, let's shift away from this report and move to the procedure for conducting this thing, for conducting vulnerability assessment. Now, next is what? You perform the actual vulnerability scanning. Perform the actual vulnerability scanning. Now, what is a tool that you can use for that, like automated scanning? Like you want to use to run automated? Can someone just tell me? I think we've done it before. A tool that we can use to run automated scanning, just to scan, like to perform automated scanning. Yeah, Temtayo. Yeah, Temtayo.
So I think the answer to this is virus total.
Nope. That was not what we used in one of our classes. Okay, Ifeoluwa.
We use Zap.
Sorry, come again. I can't hear you. Yeah, thank you. We used Zap to do that. And I said something when we used the Zap. I said it will not make sense when you use Zap, you generate a report from Zap, you then copy and paste that report. It does not even count. Because someone that is very, very familiar with vulnerability assessment, the person will know when the report is coming from Zap. Now, let me give you one hint. Let me give you one hint. Now, you see this, our field of cybersecurity is very good, very, very good in the sense that you see the way AI is taking over other sectors. AI can only come here to assist us. AI cannot completely take over our field. That's one very good thing about it. I've done research in it. No organization would put their security infrastructure in the hands of artificial intelligence completely. Mind you, completely, they will not do that. Because if you do it like that, a single mistake, everything is destroyed. So you still need human interference largely. You need human interference largely to be able to have your security posture in good condition. So that's established. We are safe. Now, like I said, okay, there was a gist I wanted to give you, like an addition. Apart from working for clients, that's organizations, companies, what have you, please, I need you to open your ears, open your eyes down. You can also get clients from students. Yes. Now, a very good example is, all these students, all these people that go to the UK. That's if any of you is not in the UK already. But see all these students that go to the UK, some of them actually don't have the technical skills to do courses like cybersecurity. And the lecturers over there give them technical assignments. Some of them are actually working. They are working heavily. I should be saying this in a closed door meeting, but most days I just record from beginning to the end. Now, some of these students they can't do those assignments given to them. Who is going to do them? We are the one that will do them. Yes. When somebody asks me, okay, Boniface, what are you like? What are you doing? Like, what's my work? Sometimes it's kind of like difficult to place them, because aside from working for a company, you're working for like a boss, like another boss. I mean, another, like, let me say, another company sort of, that's remotely. Apart from that, you still have another plug. Let me use the word plug. Another plug that gives you job on a daily. And what are those jobs? You see all these projects, assignments. Now, nobody's asking you to go and write chapter 1, chapter 2 for their projects. That's introduction and the likes of them. Your own area of interest in chapter 3, chapter 4, where you are doing all those analysis. Where you are doing analysis. And trust me, per project, they don't pay small thing. They pay good amount of money. Now, if you've done it for a while, that you are fast with it, you can get as many as 3 at a stretch. I remember a particular December, I got one of close to around 200 to 300K. That's just spanning across 7 days. I think 7 days or 14 days. That was just what the person gave me as a deadline. Where others were, the normal festive period celebration. Others were enjoying, and so I had a deadline. It happened 2 Decembers ago, and it happened this last December. I had to leave. Like, imagine living where your other people are, because of you can't concentrate now. You need like maximum focus. So now, what is my point? My point is that we should not just be fixated on getting jobs from companies, applying to companies. Put your eyes down. If you know people that have gone to the UK to study courses like cybersecurity, meet up with them. They're not going to give you stuff, because some persons would want to do it themselves. Fine, good and fine. Can link up with others. A lot of them are actually ready to give out their assignments, provided that you can do it maximally. So now let's continue. The reason why I say that is because in no situation should you copy a report from ZAP and you go and paste it there, that you're going to paste it there as somebody's project work done. That is pure nonsense. It's not going to count, right? What ZAP is helping you do is to understand what you are dealing with. As a matter of fact, you are meant to, after you doing your Nmap, and you already know that web is running, you are meant to do this Debbuster or GoBuster. We've used it before in class. To use Debbuster or GoBuster for directory listing. So directory listing, I've already explained what that means. When I use Facebook as example, if you say www.facebook.com, it's going to check www.facebook.com/admin/login/whatever. So it's going to be checking possible directories to see if they exist. Now, the response code or the status code that is going to come back, if it's a 200, yes, it exists. If it's a 400, no, it doesn't, or it's not responding to the listing. So it's going to check. That's what they call directories. So you're going to do all those things to know if there are hidden directories that are available. Yeah. So now, we already talked about ZAP, which is going to inspire you more, or tell you more about what you are dealing with. There are still other scanners that you can use. Nikto is there, OpenVAS is there, Nessus is there. Depending on the one you want, depending on what you like to use, that's fine. You can always do that. Now, next thing is to analyze your finding and eliminate false positive. False positive is, let me ask, please, can anybody tell me what false positive is? False positive. Anybody? Okay, Toby, Samuel. Okay, Kenshin.
I would say false positive is when you see an alert claims that is a malware, but it is just false. It is not true. It's just like ordinary alert.
Okay, correct. can you explain false negative?
Okay, false negative is opposite of false positive. You there was there's an alert, but you thought it was an ordinary alert, but that was a true malware that was attacking the system.
I didn't get you. Come again.
I say it's opposite of false positive. It's
Yes,
just
it's
that
opposite. Okay, let me help you out in that one. She got it right. False positive. Whatever scanner you are using is telling you that, hey, SQL is there. SQL is really, really there. But then you now go to check it. You now discover that SQL is not there. I'm sure you know that it will not make sense that said SQL is there. You're now putting it in your report. You're finding it in your report. You're now telling them SQL is there. As a matter of fact, you're even meant to access that thing. Access that SQL that it said that is there. You need to access it. That's false positive. Now, false negative. Now, look at false positive. Like she said, it's the opposite of false positive. Yes, quite alright. False positive. It's telling you that something is there. Meanwhile, that thing is not there. False negative is the opposite. It's telling you that something is not there. Meanwhile, it's there. Most scanners fall victim of this. Zap. At a point, I stopped using Zap when I used it to run a scan, and a lot of false negative. You have to point out things that are there. You just kept quiet. You are just saying the normal stuff that even I don't even need to scan the site. I just need to look at it with my eyes, and I can tell that all these things are there. So now we need to analyze the findings and eliminate false positive. The next thing is what? Exploitation. That is where you are now going to come and do the rough play, the various things that you've learned so far. I'm going to break down one down. Yeah, Toby, you want to ask a question? Please do. I'm not sure he's asking any question. Yeah, Zeus, you want to ask a question? Please do. Please, I can't hear you, please.
Can you hear me now?
No. No, yeah, better.
Okay. I was saying, how can one be able to eliminate false negative and false positive when doing your scan? Like really check that this thing is going out, as in this thing should not be there when doing your analysis.
Okay, yeah, nice one. Nice question. He's asking, how can, let me unmute you so that if I don't answer it, he's asking, how can someone eliminate that? Now, the only way to eliminate it is by what? Checking. That's analyzing it yourself. Let me give you a very good example. I'm going to open my browser now, and I'll just try something for you. Just give it like 1 or 2 seconds. We are going to check something now.
You're not sharing that screen.
Yeah, but you can see the okay. So I would okay. Where's my browser? Okay, it's my browser. So now let's go to this thing. Let's check test PHP. Now see. Now we've this is the site. Let's say this client asked us to test this site. Client asked us to test this site. Now we've already let's go to the login page. Zeus, I'll answer your question. /login.php. login.php. Now, apart from, we are going to, the normal stuff we are going to do for this one now, testing for authentication. That's running, trying to draw those brute force and what have you. It's part of the vulnerability assessment. But let's log in first. We've already logged in, right? Now, okay. Now, to answer Zero's question, okay, I've done something like that before. To answer Zero's question, now you run your scanner, probably Zap or Nikto or what have you. You run your scanner on these sites. One of the things your scanner told you is that there is SQL injection at what? At the userinfo.php page. You can see this directory. testphp.vulnweb.com/userinfo.php. Right? You run the scanner. And it told you that there's what? SQL. No, not SQL. The example I want to use is XSS, cross-site scripting. You now told that there's cross-site scripting on this particular place because you know how Zap operates now. It tells you the vulnerability. It shows you where the vulnerability is, where you can actually fix it up. You know what a website is? A website is like what a web app or a website, is. It's like a combination of different web pages. So this is a particular web page. If you notice, before we put the username and the distance, that was the login page. So you know where to perform your authentication login page. Now, how do you test that false positive? That stuff, if it's truly a false positive, you want to check if it's truly susceptible or if it's truly vulnerable to what excesses. See the script here. Let me type it here so you can see. It's just like a very simple test. Although not all the time that it's vulnerable to this, but this is a very simple test for this. You put a script, you close. Okay. Say alert. Then let it see XSS. Close this quote. Now we close the tag. Closing tag. This is basically HTML. Now you see this. If I copy it, Control C. If I copy it and I come and paste it here, let's assume it has told me that this is the userinfo.php page. And now click on Go here. If I click on Go here, can you see it brought out this XSS? It means it was able to carry out that code. I don't know if I'm making any sense. It was able to carry out the command or the code or the script that was written there. That's just a one-line script. Imagine it's like a 20-line script. It means it's going to execute that code. Now, if it executes that code, this thing is truly vulnerable to what? Excesses. So that's the only way you can actually verify if that is a false positive or false negative. So now it has said that excesses exist on the userinfo.php page. You've tested it. That is not a false positive. That's a true result. Now, in a situation where it's telling you that it's vulnerable to SQLI, that's what it told you. You now tested for SQLI. You did not now see it there. What information is that? That's actually a false positive. So the only way to prevent against this is to carry out the test. As per false negative, the only way you can prevent against that one is, aside the result the scanner has given you, do more. Yes. Now, on a good day, scanner will not come and help you to do your what? Scanner will not come and help you to run your brute force here. You are the one that will do more to see if it will allow you to log in. Scanner will not help you to do that. Then if there is OTP also, scanner will not help you to do that. And so on and so forth. I'm sure I've answered your question. Now let's go back to our reports. Now, going back to the reports, these are the key findings. The assumption is that what I have done key findings is what you write after you have finished the stuff. Blessing, you have a question. Blessing, you have a question. Okay, Blessing is not there. Okay, so Obina, please ask your question. Okay.
Sorry, sir.
Yeah,
Thank
please.
you for your impact so far. So my question is this: from the example you gave from the cross SSS attack, does it mean that any website that doesn't have
Okay.
that search and go far, that you cannot carry out that SSS attack on it?
Okay, no. Okay. Thank you for the question. Now, and truly, we did not. Okay, this thing is a very big, stuff. It's a very big stuff. These are we actually meant to take the class. When we get to web security, we are meant to start to treat all those vulnerabilities one after the other. One after the other. Now, it does not mean that if it doesn't have that search part or it doesn't have that, most of the time we need a field where you can run something. That's you can input something and you can query it. Most of the time it's always like a search field. Do you get it? So most of the time is where you can see, okay, there is a field here. You can input something. If you are coding with Python, that's yes, input. Input should be the stuff for it, not print. There's something that would accept an input from you. So now, if you remember when we were talking about, I forgot what we were talking about. That we said something about sanitizing the input. So when you want to carry out, you want to test for vulnerabilities like SQL, XSS, majorly, no, not SQL, XSS, and likes of that. You are looking for where you can input not necessarily a query, but when you can input something. And most of the time, it's always a search field. It could be a comment box. It could be what again? Yes, that's the few I can remember. So that's okay. So we've talked about the exploitation, whereby that's where you are doing the dirty work. And you are doing the dirty work with your various tools. Those tools that you know how to use: Metasploit framework, SQL map, Hydra, Bob Suit, and the likes of that. Please, what we learned in Bob Suit is not enough. We need to do, anyways, the assignment will force us to do a lot of practice with Bob Suit because it's very, very key too. Okay, now let's go back to our reports. If we get to a stage, I'll stop sharing it. Okay, so the scope was actually stated. It was focused on internal and external aspects of application. Yeah, this application. The test did not involve DOS attack or any stress test, and they were conducted 17 to 13. Now, the reason why it was conducted, look at the span of time, is because with time you are even going to realize all these things, whether they teach you or they don't teach you. If you keep on practicing penetration tests, you keep on practicing all these things, with time you realize it. Sometimes you need to observe the reaction of the server during the day when it's alive or very much alive. Let me use the word very much alive because there's no time it's going to go down. It's going to go down. When it is very much alive, probably when it is stressed, when it is being used heavily, and so on and so on and so forth. Sometimes you need to also observe this thing in the night time. That's our goal, is to perform a comprehensive penetration test. So that's why this one is spanning across these days. Like these days, since it's for like a company. So Please permit me for further scrolling. I'm going to share another part of the screen. If it's something I want to show you guys, then I'll let you know. So after the project scope has been stated, you are now going to list what you tested. That's list of tested subdomains or something. You can always get like a sample or a template of penetration test reports. I think they are all online. You can get a template. You might discover that there's like a little tweak or maybe addition, maybe something I'm not saying. You might as well still discover that. Yes, just you might discover that there's a little difference between what I'm saying and what you're going to see online, but you see that a lot of similarities. Yeah, a lot of similarities. Now, let me share with you something on the screen, which is what I've been talking about since morning. So I actually gave the company a laid down process of what I did. This is what I did. The project approach for this assessment is illustrated below. So what I started with was project definition, which I already showed you. Information gathering, which I already told you about. Scanning. Now, okay, let me give you a gist. Under the scanning aspect, when the client met me, the client said he needed penetration testing on their web application. Now, as a cybersecurity professional, as you don't, some days it's good you listen to your clients, quite alright, but it's not a bad thing when you still you extend your tentacles. He said web, right? When I was doing my information gathering, I observed that they were not only running web service, there was a mobile application that they were running. That enabled me to spread this thing. So apart from looking at web, I was able to also look at that angle, and I also got like some vulnerabilities. I got some vulnerabilities on that web, but it was just one. Now there's a way it's going to look like you were paid heavily for a particular project, and of everything you can find, it's just one vulnerability. But a major vulnerability was found in their mobile app, which they fixed by now. I don't know if it's making any sense. So like the next stage is what vulnerability assessment. That's the actual vulnerability assessment. Then what? The penetration test. And lastly, after you've done everything, documentation, report, and presentation. Definitely, that one is like certain since you did it yourself. Okay. So I'm going to explain one of the vulnerabilities that was discovered. How I discovered the vulnerability and the likes of that. Okay, now if you remember, I always say something. I always say that you need to observe or you need to notice the reaction of the site or the website you are dealing with, or the application you are dealing with. Now, was it not on Monday? Yeah, on Monday, we had a meeting. Our normal stand-up, Christiana was there. When I checked the number of submissions for the assignments, that's last week, it was 0. So when we had the meeting, I was gonna told them that hello, 0 and 6. No, was it Monday or Friday? No, not Monday. Monday. Okay. Friday, and by standard, the deadline for submission of assignment should be Friday. I just normally give you guys periods of grace to submit on Saturday. Some will submit on Sunday, and we will still grade. Me and Christiana will still grade. Now, on that Friday, I told them in a meeting that I gave them this assignment to, and nobody has turned up. So they have to give me a reply back that Boniface, what's going on? Like, why will nobody submit? I told them that the people I'm dealing with, I kind of understand them. If I set a class now and I explain something to them, there's every high chance that they are going to submit this assignment, and there's every high chance that they are going to do exactly what I am doing, step by step by step by step. Even some persons will even come to my DM. You'll be like, sir, I'm trying to, that time I give you one assignment on accessing another person's windows. So some persons will like, okay, they are trying to do exactly what I did in class. Like, you don't get, this is cybersecurity. It's not a one. There's not like one direct formula like I used to do something. I can use road A to get to somewhere. You can use road Z to get to that same place. You get, so sometimes I was even feeling reluctant to answer some persons because in my mind, yo, just do your research. You would get another way. It could even be a better way. There was somebody I gave, is it 9 over 10 or 10 over 10? I think the person was able to get screenshots. Like the person was able to hack into the machine. The person was able to get screenshots. I should have made the assignment more difficult by saying the recipient like prepare the file in such a way that it's going to be able to evade security, because it's pointless when you are offing your, like you're putting off your security and you are now sending it in real life. Okay, we shouldn't really bother much about that because that's not our intention, unless if that's your intention. In real life, nobody will put off the security for you. Now let's quickly go to this vulnerability, the major vulnerability that was discovered, which is what OTP bypass. We've done something similar in class, but what I explained to you in class is different from this one. It's different from this one. Now, during the engagement, the significant security concern was identified within the web application, that's OTP, which is used as security. We already know what OTP does. Okay, so now I started by logging in. When you log in, you come in contact with this page. Now it's going to ask you to put OTP, right? That day we're looking for example. I obviously could not use this one. You know the reason why. They fixed it. So now you can click resend OTP while intercepting the request using VAPT. In the phone parameter, change to the desired phone number to receive the OTP request after it has been made. Changes the phone of, sorry, I can't really grasp what I'm doing. But now the point is that when you click on that resend OTP is going to send the OTP to a particular number. When you intercept that stuff with Bob, you would see the number. You will see the number in Bob. Now that number, now you can change that number to any number that you want. So imagine in a situation whereby you are trying to get into somebody, what they put as a multi-factor authentication is not actually a multi-factor authentication again, because you can bypass it. Okay. Sorry, let me pull down the screen. So the next I would have loved to talk about via these reports. You already know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about exploitation. That's doing the carrying out the major stuff. Let me quickly show you what I mean by when I say the number was shown. I'm putting down the screen because of their like sensitive stuff there, and it shouldn't be like made public. Okay, so if you look at what we have on the screen, let me expand it. Yeah, I'm sure we can see it here. You can see it. So you can see the token and you can see the phone. There's a phone number there. You change it to whatever phone number you want to change it to. Ideally, it's meant to send this phone number to the owner of the account. I'm sure you know that that's like a security mechanism. But then if you now change this thing, you already know how to do this thing in Bob Suits. It's not like a problem, proxy and all that stuff. If you now change this number to the desired number, let's say your own phone number, that OTP will enter your phone number. So that is a major vulnerability discovered here. So we leave that. So I will stop sharing the screen now. Okay, so having said that, then moving on to the mobile assessment, like I told you now, there was like a static analysis of mobile application. Now I will not really show anything. I will That one is very very sensitive because some keys were discovered, some flutter wave secret keys, pay stack secret keys, even pay stack test secret keys, they were discovered. So we are not going to use all those ones. Now, please, we did not do there's an aspect of cybersecurity called I'm coming please. I'm trying to remember. Um, gosh, I forgot. Okay, I know what I'm trying to say, but the name is what I'm forgetting. Now, the name is take for example, you want to I can't remember. But then okay, I know how to remember. I'll check this thing. I'll check um cyber talents. Please give me a few minutes. There's a particular aspect of cybersecurity that involves whereby you'll be using tools. Example of the tools we have Gidra. It's very popular for that one. We use it to, when you want to decompile a particular application, you want to decompile a particular. Please don't be bamboozled. Don't feel like he's saying a lot of things. I don't know a lot of things, or I've not learned a lot of things. Yes, that's the truth. As you go deeper, you discover that what the ocean is deeper. Same thing applies to what we are doing here. A lot of things to learn, but you need to take it step by step. No one master it. Okay, close remember. Okay, yeah, they called it machines, but that's not the word I'm looking for. The word I'm looking for is not machines. Okay, good. Reverse engineering. Reverse engineering. Now, you may be like, okay, that's an aspect of cybersecurity that doesn't concern me. There are instances whereby it concerns you. Most of the time, when you are dealing with mobile application, you need to know how to reverse engineer a particular application. Nobody's asking you to know how to do it manually or to do it step by step. There are tools that are there that would help you. Now, one that I got familiar with is what Gidra, and that, as a matter of fact, okay, I didn't use that Gidra here, but I used JADX was what I used here. JADX was what I used here. So, what does this tool do? This tool is going to decompile the file, decompile the mobile application. Most if it is APK, what you guys use for Android, it's going to decompile it basically. Compile is like any computer science students will explain to me explain to us compile and decompile. Compile is like okay, arrange, write in codes and what have you to get a particular product. Decompile is what you are going back to the very beginning, like you are going back to the very beginning. So we have compilation, we have decompilation. So that was used for it. In case you want to see what the interface looks like, let me share my screen so you see what the interface looks like. So what you can see on the screen is basically it. Right. Okay. Take it down again. Okay. So I recorded all the keys I was able to get. I explained the business impact and so on and so forth. So that's how the report was written. Definitely, you know that there are like conclusion. Now there is one aspect that is like very very key in penetration testing. when you do some tweaks or you do some damages or you do what have you, please try to put it back in the way you met it. Take for example now those phone numbers. Now you can as well just take it back to the original phone number that you met there and just leave it like that. Just anything you were able to change, please put it back there. So we're going to take a short break now. You can go mark your attendance there. Come back shortly after. Meanwhile, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask.